Hey guys, so in this video I wanted to discuss a training change I'm making. I'll probably overlay some training footage above this, but essentially I have made the choice to switch over to conventional deadlift for this next powerlifting meet as opposed to sumo deadlift like I've always done. And I'm going to relate this to you guys, like knowing like how do you know whether or not you should deadlift conventional or sumo. But for me, the main reason why I'm switching to conventional is for number one, it just feels strongest to me. I have pulled sumo deadlift primarily for the past like 2 years. I've been doing powerlifting training seriously, and I've gotten strong with it, obviously. I've been able to successfully deadlift 705 pounds in the gym, 700 pounds in the meet sumo. I'm very strong at it. However, for me, I feel like I'm leaving some strength on the table because of how I am personally built, my muscular strengths. If you guys look at my sumo deadlift, I'll probably pop on the screen with some training footage of my deadlift. I tend to always revert to a conventional deadlift starting hip position, where my hips are kind of higher. I think that's just because, like, number one, I have a very strong back relative to my quads, so I'm going to always rely on that a little bit more when the weight gets to be a little bit heavier. Like for me, it's usually about 600 pounds is when I start to see that shifting into my body's position. And then the other reason is just because like I can actually feel my quads working on conventional deadlift. For people say, oh, I can feel my quads so much on sumo, and I never been able to feel that. It always feels kind of strange to me, and whereas conventional just feels a lot more natural. And my coach, Eric Bodhorn, and Steffi Cohen, even when I was running her powerlifting program once. I laid up for a month because I was having squatting 4 times a week and I was dead. But she was like, you look like a conventional puller, and Eric also told me that I look like a conventional puller. So I have 10 weeks until my next meet. I did 600 pounds for a top set of 2 at RP 6 to 7, felt very good and powerful. I just need to work on my positioning off the floor, learning how to wedge to the bar a little more, be a little more patient, especially with like the kabuki bar, learning how to leverage that properly. But I have weeks of time to do that. Then I did down sets at sub 5 RP with 485. Felt super powerful, got a crazy quad and back pump. It felt right. So I'm going to be doing that for this next block, next strength training cycle going into my meet. But I wanted to give some general advice on knowing on how you know whether or not you should pull conventional or sumo. So the unfortunate reality is that the best answer to this question is that it's going to be try both out over a extended period of time, probably a training cycle of 8 to 12 weeks, and see what feels best to you, what you can progress with most consistently. Now, all of this is true. We can start kind of delve in a little bit deeper to see why a deadlift stance is stronger for a particular lifter. So first off, you can look at this from first a biomechanics perspective. And this is going to be most dependent upon your hip structure and what's called the angle of inclination. I'll put an image on the screen right here. But essentially, it's going to be the angle of the femur in relationship to the acetabulum of the os coxae hip bone. If you guys don't know that, there's basically a muscle group on your hips. It's the acetabulum, which is where the head of your femur inserts to the acetabulum, which is a little ball and socket bone of the hip. The hip is a ball and socket joint. So if you are stronger in a straight ahead hip flex position, you're going to be a stronger conventional deadlifter, and will also have an angle of inclination that's closer to 90 degrees or more than a front facing hip angle naturally. Whereas if you're a stronger and more abducted hip position, you're going to like AB abducted away from the midline of the body. You're going to be a stronger sumo puller. It'll have a more obtuse angle of inclination, closer to 280 degrees. Basically, what the angle of inclination does is it dictates how much force that you can generate about the hip when you initiate the deadlift. Since the deadlift is primarily hip extension movements, whatever hip position that you are going to be in going to allow you the most torque about this joint, basically your ability to produce force at a particular joint angle, will determine if you're a stronger conventional or sumo. Now, unfortunately, you can't really get this information unless you get an MRI or you're like a physical therapist or athletic trainer to get a special test done to measure the angle of inclination. But if you really wanted to, you could do that. But this is something you're going to find out via practice. But I would say the most, besides that, muscle strength also matters a lot. So if you have really strong back spinal rectors in particular, like kind of like myself, you're probably going to be a little bit better of a conventional puller, because that's just because you have more of a bent over back position. So you're going to be able to have more ability to actually use your back and movements on the deadlift and synergy with your legs. Whereas if you are going to be stronger legs and bigger your quads and like maybe a slightly weaker back, you're going to be a little more stronger pulling sumo. This is just because your back's a little bit in general more vertical due to a sumo deadlift. Now, one thing I do want to say is that I would say in most cases, like, you want to find out that you're stronger at conventional because it's a simpler movement. There's more room for error on it. It takes less time to get down. From a technical standpoint, the sumo, in my opinion, it is harder because it's technically more difficult. The programming has to be more nuanced. There's less room for error. And one other thing I would say that's also for the muscle strength is, like, if you're strong in like a flex position of your spine versus a more extended hip spinal position, there are some sumo deadlifters like Jamal Brown, like one of the best in the world, who basically biased more of a flexed upper back position, but he's also very strong at conventional. So most people are going to be stronger at sumo are going to be a little more strong, like an extended back position. Because they're going to be a little more upright and basically they're able to have their their quads used in the movements. Whereas people that are a little more light on their back, like, they probably are going to be a little bit better at conventional deadlifting. Again, this just depends. Jamal has chosen sumo deadlift because he knows from years of experience that it's just stronger, and ultimately that's what's going to guide your decision. So strength in either stance is like completely dependent upon your anatomy and muscular strengths. Most world records are actually set conventional and not sumo. It's not like we're seeing only sumo deadlifts with records and no conventional. So that's one thing. But basically, my advice for you guys is to learn the technique for both lifts, train both variations hard for an extended period of time, see what you like best, what feels most comfortable to your body, what you can progress with most consistently, and then make the judgment call. If you listen to your body and give yourself time in both positions, you're going to be able to define what works best for you. If you are a beginner, I would recommend probably start with a conventional deadlift, because that is going to be the basis of any sort of deadlift pattern. But you can go into sumo and experiment with it, but give both a fair shake, see what feels the best. And then you can make your judgment call then. This might also change as you get bigger. Like for me, maybe sumo is going to be a little bit stronger movement. If I can actually, because like I always tip over, right? I rely a little bit more on my back, most of my legs. They're not as big, they're not as strong. Maybe in the future, once I get bigger, I'll get closer to 100 kilos, body weight, lean. Maybe I'll be stronger in a sumo deadlift because I'll be able to, use my quads a little bit more. But for right now, where I'm currently at, I think conventional is the move. So if you guys follow along with that. But yeah, hopefully this video was helpful. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. If you guys are interested in coaching, link down below to apply. I'd love to set up for a free consultation call to see how it can help you by strengthening that accelerator, so you guys can get the most strongest that you ever have in your life with zero chance of failure as fast as possible. So I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Later.